Draw with me step by step this sweet Sassy Duckling. It's perfect for beginners and you will improve your drawing and Procreate skills. I'm drawing on 9 by 9 inches, more technical details with some drawing tips you can find below the video, so check it out. We start with coloring. Sketch won't be a part of your final drawing, but it's a good helper to have an idea about the main shape, so grab my sketch on the Patreon and use it as a guideline. Let's get started. Create a new layer below the sketch. Select the yellow color and the medium airbrush. Draw the duck. Use a different brush sizes for the best results. Select my fruit brush number 5 and draw fluffy edges. Create a new layer above, select a strong pink color and again medium airbrush. Draw the head. Here, draw an arc and hold your pen on the screen to get a more precise shape. Now tap on the lasso tool, freehand with colorful option on, and just go over the headline. Then tap on the dot here to fill the shape. Select the dry ink brush and draw this line here. It has a nice texture. Don't draw the entire line in this layer, just a part of this on the sides. Create a new layer below the duck and select the soft pink color. Finish the headline. Use the lasso tool again and fill the shape behind the duck. Tap on the eraser and using the same kind of brush, erase these holes. Turn off the sketch and fix if needed. Now you can also soften the edges in this layer. And then fix the soft pink again. Play with the shape, no rush here. This is your time, just dive in. Turn on the sketch. Create a new layer above the head and select a nice blue color and a medium airbrush. Draw the dress. On my Patreon you can find 2 stem brushes with more dress shapes. Feel free to try these as well. They belong to the entire collection of cloth drawing with many tips and tricks and a lot of pattern brushes and cloth stamps. I will leave the link for you below the video. Now, using the lasso tool, fill the shape. Turn off the sketch and fix if needed. Feel free to use an eraser a lot. Create a new layer above the dress and tap on the clipping mask. It keeps your drawing just in the shape. Select the dark blue and medium airbrush. Draw the shade behind the folding. Leave out parts that would overlap. We will finish them in a separate layer. Using the eraser, soften the shading. If you draw those details in a few layers, you can fix it easily. So I recommend using as many layers as your iPad allows. Keep just a hint of the shading, like on the real folding on the dress or skirt. Try a large brush and a very gentle touch to achieve a super soft look. Of course, you can draw it gently, but I like using an eraser for shading. I have better control over the final results. Let me know in the comments if this works for you as well. Now the rest of the folding in a new layer. You can merge those folding layers. Just tap on the layer and tap on the merge down. Draw a shade also on the straps here. And using a bigger brush size, the overall shade. Create a new layer, tap on the clipping mask. Select the very bright blue color and the noise brush. Using the small brush size, draw a highlight on the top of the folding. I forgot to draw a shape on those parts. Feel free to make any adjustments anytime you need. Just pause the video and take your time. You can soften the shade also with smudge tool. Back to the highlight, using a big brush size and add the overall light here. And maybe draw stronger highlights on the folding. And also on the edges. No rush here. Shading and highlights really help to build some structure and a shape on the dress. Create a new layer below the dress and select the medium airbrush. Draw the inner parts of the folding. Create another layer above, tap on the clipping mask. Using a darker blue, draw a bit of shade. It's just a detail, but the details truly matter, so pay attention to it. We are going to draw a shade behind the duck. Create a new layer above the bottom head layer, tap on the clipping mask. Select the dark pink color and medium airbrush. Draw the shade, but don't draw to the edges. Now smudge it slightly. And lower the opacity, tap on the N here. And soften it with an eraser if needed. Now pay attention to this hole. The other strong pink should be visible here from this perspective. Another great detail which can level up your drawing. And also here. Build some volume in the material here. The head isn't thin like a paper. Now shading on the head. Create a new layer above the head, tap on the clipping mask. Select the dark pink and draw the shade on the bottom of the head base. Soften it with an eraser. Turn on the sketch. For the bow, create a new layer above the head and select the bright blue color. Draw the bow. Create a new layer above, tap on the clipping mask and select dark blue. Draw the line here. Bow also has some volume or thickness. Below the video I will leave more drawing tips if you want to dive deeper. Lower the opacity if it's too dark. I want to fix the bow and draw also this tiny part like the bow is around the head. Tap on the head shade layer and using dark pink color make the shade stronger if you need. For highlights, create a new layer above, tap clipping mask, select the bright pink color. Tap on the N here and select the Add option. This is Extra Shine. Using the noise brush, draw highlight on the top. And using the small brush size on the edges. Also on the sides here. I move with the layer rather below the shade. Make this line stronger if you want. Now face. Turn on the sketch. Create a new layer above the duck, select the orange color and medium airbrush. Draw the beak, just the upper part. In a new layer below, draw the bottom part. Create a new layer below and using a white color, draw the eyes. In another layer with clipping mask and black color, draw the pupils. Turn off the sketch and make any adjustments you need. I will show you Procreate tools for changing shape. Tap on the magic wand, liquify and push option. Push the shape in the way you need. Create a new layer above the beak and tap on the clipping mask. Select the dark orange color and draw the shape. Soften it with an eraser. Do the same for the bottom part. Now in the same way, make a round of highlights on the bottom part using white color and a noise brush. Draw some highlights. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new tutorials. Create a new layer above the duck and tap on the clipping mask. Select dark yellow color and medium airbrush. Draw the shade behind the eyes. Make those angry lines here. And draw also under the beak. Smudge it slightly. Soften it with an eraser. Now some full details. Create a new layer above the eyes, select the yellow color and my full brush 5. Overlap the eyes on the edges. Using a darker color, emphasize these angry lines above the eyes. You can smudge the edges of the fur slightly, make it smooth. Now create a new layer above the eyes and tap on the clipping mask. Select a strong blue color and a medium airbrush. Draw a bit of shade to the eyes on the edges. And also with a dark orange. Smudge it slightly. And maybe lower the opacity. In a new layer, make one more shading round using a black color. Soften it with an eraser. I fix the pupil. Okay, now select the bright blue color and the noise brush. Draw the iris inside the pupils using a smaller brush size. And with white color and even smaller brush size, one more round. Create a new layer above, select the medium airbrush and draw tiny dots inside the eyes. And with a bigger brush size, add the overall light. I want to fix the head, so feel free to make any edits or adjustments you want at any point of the tutorial. I speed it up a bit. Okay, also I want to edit this part of the dress. Here is a trick if you want to move with a few layers at the same time. Tap on the dress layers, slide to the right, and now you can push all the layers at once. Now we are going to work more on shading. Create a new layer above the duck and make one more shade round. on the bottom part of the head and on the neck and wings. Now tap on the bottom head layer and draw a stronger shade behind the duck. Create a new layer under the upper head layer, select the dark purple color, and here on the end, select the multiply option. Draw the shade under the head. Soften it with an eraser. You can even change the color. Tap on the magic wand, the first option, and try more colors here. Turn on the sketch. For the feet, tap on the duck layer. Select orange color and medium airbrush. Lower the opacity of the sketch or turn it off. And fix with an eraser if needed. Create a new layer above and select a dark orange color. Draw the shade under the dress. And with shades, also create some structure here, the shape of the duck's feet. Using an eraser, soften it. Switch to the noise brush and draw more precise shade and some lines. Also on the upper parts of the feet. Create a new layer, select bright orange and draw highlights. Define the overall shape and proportions. Now the bow. Create a new layer at the bottom. Select a bright blue color and a medium airbrush. Draw the bow. We are going to draw the bow in a few layers to handle all shading and adjustments easily. Create a new layer and move it beneath. Draw the second part of the bow. And also these parts of the ribbon. Pay attention to the shape, no rush here. Now shading. Create a new layer above the upper part, tap on the clipping mask. Select the darker blue color and draw the strong shade here. Lower the opacity and fix with an eraser if needed. Do this also on the other parts. Lower the opacity. Create a new layer for one more round here. Draw the shade behind and under the head. Also emphasize the ribbon's thickness. Also on the upper part. Now highlights. Create a new layer, tap clipping mask. Select the bright blue color and the noise brush. Tap on the N here and select the Add option. With a small brush size, draw on the edges. And using a bigger brush size, add an overall light here. Do the same also for the other parts. and also on the ribbon on the head. Now the flowers. Create a new layer, maybe below the head. Select a green color and my full brush, 5 or any tiny brush you want. Draw a few stems behind the duck. Switch to the red color or any color you want and draw the flowers. I want just the loose flowers, but be precise if you want. Maybe a few fallen petals and some details. Final shading. Create a new layer at the bottom. Select a dark color, maybe purple, and a medium airbrush. Draw a very gentle shade under the duck. Soften it with an eraser. In a new layer and using black color, draw one more shade, but directly under the petal and feet. And ribbon. Smudge it slightly. Draw the shade also on the ribbon under the foot. Be sure you are in the right layer. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to share your duckling and tag me so I can see it. Try more of my tutorials and also join our Eastern Drawing Challenge on my Patreon. See you next time!